Let us begin by examining the title of this chapter more closely. At first glance, it may seem to suggest something tangible and physical, yet your body, like all things, is far from a purely physical entity. It is, in essence, an energetic construct, a holographic projection that only appears physical. At its most fundamental level, the body exists as waveform information, a vibrational energy field containing immense amounts of encoded data. This energy is interpreted and transformed into the illusion of physical form through the sophisticated decoding systems within our heads, hearts, and genetic makeup. This illusion of solidity is further reinforced by the density of our third-dimensional reality, where objects seem unquestionably material. Yet, were a being from the fourth dimension to appear before you, this truth would become undeniable. Such a being, radiant and luminous, would effortlessly traverse walls, unbound by the physical limitations we perceive as absolute. Then there is the matter of immortality, a concept softened in your mind, perhaps, by discussions of Thoth and the Ascended Masters, who, remarkably, still exist today. Before delving into alternatives to death, let us reflect on what transpires when we die in the manner we have long accepted. Upon death, we transition to the lower, often disharmonic overtones of the fourth dimension, specifically the third overtone. However, this shift occurs unconsciously, leaving us without memory of the life we leave behind. For the past 13 millennia, humanity has been locked in this unconscious cycle of reincarnation. We return through birth with no recollection of the dimension we occupied or the lives we previously lived. Yet, there exist two conscious alternatives to this cycle, both representing profound, deliberate transitions. The first, resurrection, involves an intentional journey from one world to another by allowing the physical body to die and reconstituting the light body on the other side. The second, ascension, transcends death entirely. It is the conscious passage from one dimension to another, carrying the physical body intact. Ascension is a deeply mindful and responsible means of departure, embodying the ultimate awareness of life's boundless continuum. There are two significant advantages to these alternatives. First, they allow you to bypass the disharmonic third overtone entirely, ascending instead to the higher harmonic overtones of the fourth dimension, commonly referred to as the Christ consciousness overtones, which encompass the 10th, 11th, and 12th levels. Second, they preserve the continuity of your memory. Once you reach these states, you will never again experience a break in memory, allowing for an uninterrupted awareness of existence. However, the concept of immortality remains a deeply polarizing topic, often considered too radical for most people. Longevity is an acceptable discussion, living healthfully to 120 years, for instance. But immortality? That word carries an undeniable taboo. Practices like using growth hormones, meditating, or eating organic foods are socially permissible, but immortality is rarely embraced as a serious possibility. Yet despite this modern-day aversion, an enduring truth persists. Humanity was originally designed to live forever, in physical bodies. In exploring this idea, I turned to the Bible, not as a scholar, but as a seeker of insights. In conversations with a friend and client, Dr. Wilbur Albrecht, a former religion major turned physician, I sought guidance on the spiritual and allegorical roots of immortality. Our discussions brought us to a profound realization. According to the Bible, Adam and Eve were created as immortal beings, living in a state of innocence and harmony. It was only when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of polarity consciousness, of mental knowledge, that they lost their heart-centered connection to Source. This shift into a polarized, mind-dominated state severed their eternal attunement and led them to mortality. In essence, their fall from grace was not merely a loss of innocence, but a disconnection from the divine, a departure from the immortal blueprint. For many, the notion of immortality seems esoteric, an abstract idea too complex to consider seriously. Yet the Bible, the world's best-selling book, offers a model hidden in plain sight. As a society still influenced by Judeo-Christian principles, even using the Bible in our courts, the allegory of immortality's loss is embedded within our collective consciousness. The story of Adam and Eve, far from being a relic of antiquity, continues to present us with profound truths about our origins, our potential, and and the path back to eternal life. The Old Testament chronicles a steady decline in the longevity of the patriarchs, which prompted the introduction of new covenants. Why? Humanity had lost its ability to remain attuned to source, falling out of alignment with the divine. As Wilbur explained, covenant is a theological term used by scholars to describe a sacred agreement, a new pathway introduced by source, whether through ascended masters, celestial beings, or other intermediaries, to restore humanity's connection to the divine. These covenants were a means of reattuning humankind, a way to realign with source and move beyond sin. Interestingly, the term sin originates from archery, signifying missing the mark, a poetic way of describing a state of misalignment. Abraham was the recipient of a new covenant, as was Noah, whose era was marked by the Great Flood. Both instances reflect humanity's inability to remain in alignment, necessitating a new dispensation each time. With Noah, a fresh agreement was forged. Later, Moses, who lived to 120 years, brought the Ten Commandments, another covenant designed to guide humankind back to harmony. Then came Jesus, who demonstrated the pinnacle of human potential, transfiguration, where his body radiated light, resurrection, overcoming death itself, and ascension, a conscious departure to higher realms. Pentecost followed, heralding the descent of the Holy Spirit, which endowed humanity with the ability to directly communicate with the higher self, a profound new dispensation of divine connection. Yet, even in modern times, when practices like yoga, meditation, breathwork, and energy healing are widely embraced, the idea of immortality remains taboo, often dismissed as fantastical. To discuss it is to venture out onto the furthest limb of the tree, a topic too radical for many to even entertain. And yet, the evidence has always been right in front of us, hidden in plain sight. The Bible itself offers a roadmap. Adam and Eve, designed to live forever, fell into mortality through misalignment. The subsequent decline in human consciousness and lifespan necessitated repeated interventions, new covenants, new dispensations, and new chances to realign with Source. It is as though we are standing amidst a forest, unable to see the grandeur of the whole because we are too focused on individual trees. The truths are there, interwoven into the fabric of Scripture, but our collective awareness struggles to grasp their full significance. Immortality, far from being an impossible dream, is woven into our origin story, beckoning us to rediscover the path we've long forgotten. Wilbur shared that it was only through working with me, through engaging with my approach to higher consciousness and immortality, that he began to see with absolute clarity what had always been right in front of him. He realized that the Bible is, at its core, the story of an immortal couple created by divine consciousness. This narrative chronicles a steady decline in human consciousness, which gave rise to war, suffering, and death as dominant forces in the human experience. The story culminates in the arrival of a master from a higher dimension, Jesus, who demonstrated transfiguration, resurrection, and ascension, living embodiments of humanity's lost potential. Jesus came to restore this truth to the Akashic records, to anchor it once again within the collective memory. And yet, humanity missed the mark once more, using his teachings to create more ego, division, and separation. What I want to share now is what I learned through my own journey, what, in Wilbur's words, propelled him over the finish line and allowed him to see the truth plainly. For me, it all began with an urgent, burning desire to heal myself. I was battling a severe, crippling lower back injury that, at its worst, left me contorted, twisted, and immobilized like a human pretzel. The pain was excruciating and relentless. In 1983, while I was in the depths of this struggle, I received a call from a friend in Santa Cruz, California. She told me she had organized a group and wanted me to come down and lead a weekend workshop. I explained my condition, how it could take me 45 minutes just to make the smallest movement, to get out of bed, to stand, to do anything, and how driving was utterly out of the question. She listened with understanding, and then, with a practical wisdom that cut through my resistance, said something that changed everything. Since you're miserable no matter what, why not come down and get paid for it? Her suggestion planted a seed, and she sealed the deal by offering me a ride to and from the event. That call became a pivotal moment in my journey, one that set me on the path to not only healing my physical body, but also uncovering deeper truths about consciousness, immortality, and the infinite potential within us all. I had received considerable help from chiropractors over the years, but when my condition deteriorated to its most extreme state, even their efforts required weeks of daily visits to restore any semblance of normalcy. As for doctors, you might wonder why I didn't turn to them. The answer lies in the countless horror stories I had heard, tales of back surgeries that left patients in worse condition than before, burdened with complications and regret. With the law of diminishing returns making itself known in my chiropractic treatments and surgery out of the question, I was left with only one viable option: to heal myself. The first time I encountered the concept of physical immortality was in March 1979, when I was introduced to rebirthing, a breathwork technique developed by Leonard Orr. A precursor to what would later become my own breath alchemy technique, rebirthing was rooted in the idea of harnessing the breath to transform and heal. At the time, the notion of physical immortality didn't fully register with me. It seemed too abstract, too far removed from my immediate reality. However, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I needed every ounce of inner power I could summon to avoid succumbing to the helplessness of victimhood. Gradually, I began to see the concept of physical immortality as a profound and empowering framework, a lens through which to view my injured back. This idea became a container broad enough to encompass my true nature, a spiritual being having a human experience, designed from the very beginning to live eternally. By adopting this perspective, I was able to shift my injury from being an overwhelming force beyond my control to simply a piece of content within a much larger context. This realization granted me access to the innate power within me to begin my own healing process. While it would take another 12 years for me to fully internalize these principles and completely heal myself, this moment marked a pivotal turning point. It empowered me to reclaim my sense of agency, offering a framework that embraced everything I encountered on my journey, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. For that, I am deeply grateful to Leonard Orr for introducing me to the idea of physical immortality. His work provided not only the inspiration, but also the foundation for the healing path that transformed my life. When Wilbur was forced into early retirement due to severe burnout and a host of health issues, including the near loss of his eyesight, it became clear that his healing required more than conventional approaches. I urged him, time and again, to adopt an all-encompassing context that would place him firmly in control of his healing process. The results were nothing short of remarkable. In the next chapter, I will include a summary of his reflections on the numerous benefits he experienced after just 1 year of working with me. Leonard Orr often spoke of the 5 immortals of the Bible. Beyond Jesus, these figures include Enoch and Elijah, both of whom are said to have ascended after living over 900 years. Melchizedek, who is described as having neither birth nor death, materializing as an adult during Abraham's time, and Moses, who, at 120 years old, according to Leonard, either resurrected or ascended. These stories of immortality and transcendence deeply resonated with my own journey toward healing. In May 1980, I attended a seminar led by Sue and Flory Riggs. During my time with them, I received a rebirthing session that profoundly shifted my perspective on healing. For the first time in years, I felt life energy returning to my lower back, a fleeting but radiant sensation. Until that moment, I had withdrawn so completely from awareness of that part of my body that it felt as though I had been severed into 2 halves. I could feel everything above and below the injury, but the injured area itself seemed absent from my perception. That session was a revelation, convincing me that breathwork held the key to unlocking my healing. However, the path forward was not immediate or straightforward. It took another 7 years of trial, struggle, and exploration to recognize that a more advanced form of breathwork was required. This realization eventually led me to Jim Leonard, whose work brought the breakthroughs I needed, and the rest, as they say, is history. That journey not only healed my body, but also deepened my understanding of the profound connection between breath, energy, and the limitless potential within us all. Flory shared with me a remarkable story about his grandfather, Sam Riggs, a Kentucky farmer born in 1850 who possessed extraordinary abilities. Among his gifts was the power to materialize wheat and other food for his family, a skill that bordered on the miraculous. Even more astonishing, Sam was said to have the ability to dematerialize his body. Flory recounted how his grandfather made several pilgrimages to Death Valley, California, the last of which took place in 1937. Before embarking on this final journey, Sam told Flory that if he ever needed him, he would return. Then, in an unforgettable moment, Sam turned, walked between two trees, and vanished without a trace. This story reminded me of another account detailed in the classic series Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Baird T. Spalding. These books chronicle the experiences of a research team of 11 highly trained scientists who embarked on a 3.5-year expedition to the Far East in 1894. The team, rigorous in their methods and unwilling to accept anything without thorough verification, encountered the immortal masters of the Himalayas during their journey. These masters assisted the scientists in translating ancient records, providing invaluable insight into their work. Initially skeptical, the researchers were profoundly transformed by their experiences. They became so convinced of the masters' authenticity and abilities that 3 members of the team later returned to the region. Their goal was not merely to observe, but to immerse themselves fully, aspiring to replicate the masters' works and live the enlightened lives they exemplified. These accounts, whether of a humble Kentucky farmer or Himalayan masters, serve as powerful reminders of the untapped potential within humanity, waiting to be rediscovered and embraced. The masters invited the scientists into their lives with extraordinary openness, allowing them to witness and participate in remarkable displays of their abilities. These enlightened beings regularly materialized supplies out of thin air, walked on water, passed through fire unscathed, and dematerialized and rematerialized their bodies, enabling them to traverse vast distances instantaneously. Many of these individuals, all of whom had mastered ascension, were over 500 years old. Yet, despite their seemingly superhuman feats, they all insisted, just as Jesus did, that these same powers and abilities exist within every one of us. Turning our attention closer to home, there is another critical concept I must introduce: the unconscious death urge. This idea, championed not only by Leonard Orr, but also by Sigmund Freud, sheds light on a profound aspect of the human psyche. Freud spoke of the death wish, positing that the pain of living can be so overwhelming that we develop defense mechanisms to shield ourselves from suffering. Even deeply transformative ideas, such as this, often find resonance within mainstream circles. The unconscious death urge, however, is more than a psychological abstraction. It is a real psychic entity that can be isolated and dismantled within your own mind. It consists of anti-life thoughts and beliefs, upheld by the pervasive notion that death is inevitable and beyond our control. Its sole purpose is to bring about death, and it will succeed unless you consciously choose to dismantle it. If thoughts, feelings, and actions truly shape reality, then the unexamined death urge, ingrained as a multi-generational pattern passed down from family and culture, will act as an invisible framework, quietly producing its inevitable outcome. There is immense power in simply questioning the inevitability of death. What if the deeply rooted belief in your lack of control over your body's health, well-being, and destiny is the very foundation of victim consciousness? The ultimate victim is someone who believes their fate lies in the hands of forces outside themselves, be it others, circumstances, or inevitabilities like death. To awaken to the possibility that you do have a say in your destiny is to reclaim your power, challenge the unconscious death urge, and embrace the extraordinary potential that lies within you. To truly take control of your life, you must embrace the idea that your safety, well-being, health, and vitality, as well as illness, injury, and even the eventual death of your physical body, are created by you. No one else holds that power unless you relinquish it. This perspective reveals a profound paradox. Ascension, as the ultimate expression of full aliveness, cannot coexist with an unresolved death urge. How can you be fully alive if an unconscious belief in death is quietly shaping your reality? If you remain unaware of the death urge, it will operate beneath the surface, producing results without your conscious consent. And here's the irony. The more enlightened you become, the more this death urge becomes activated. Any residual beliefs or attachments that fall short of your highest thoughts will demand your attention. As your consciousness expands, so does the power of your thoughts, which begin to manifest with increasing speed and intensity. If you have never questioned death, you are likely at its mercy, rationalizing its inevitability as meeting your maker, and resigning yourself to the belief that it must be for the highest good. But if you truly wish to meet your maker, do so by embracing full aliveness. Ascend, not through resignation to death, but by transcending it. Immortality is not about remaining in the same physical body forever. That would eventually become a limitation. Instead, it is about keeping your body vibrant, rejuvenated, and alive for as long as you choose, then consciously transitioning when you are ready, retaining your memory and awareness as you ascend to higher states of existence. Immortality is the continuous remembrance of who you are, a divine being with infinite potential. The process of ascension begins when you move beyond the confines of the mind and return to the wisdom of the heart. It is there, in the heart's boundless embrace, that you reclaim your fullest aliveness and remember the eternal essence of your being. The principles I am about to share with you were born out of necessity, forged in the crucible of my own struggles. As I shared in the previous chapter, I was suffering from a chronic lower back injury that had deteriorated to the point of leaving me helpless much of the time. Desperation became my driving force. I was determined to reclaim my life, no matter how long it took or what it required. I vividly remember standing in front of a full-length mirror, time and again, affirming with unwavering conviction, I want my body back. I would envision myself exactly as I desired to be, hiking, running, and living freely in a state of perfect health. With such a burning desire, you might expect that solutions would quickly materialize, but that was not my reality. For years, I struggled to stay afloat in a sea of confusion, yet I never gave up. What I didn't realize then, much like a fish unaware of the water it swims in, was that my condition was entirely stress-induced. Beneath the surface lay a vast reservoir of unresolved emotional trauma, stretching back to my childhood. This emotional weight, combined with a constant fear that my condition would only worsen, kept me trapped in a cycle of pain and anxiety. Stress and worry became my relentless companions, and navigating life felt like swimming against the current in a thick, murky sea. In August 1980, I had an experience that, though I couldn't see it at the time, held the keys to my healing. It was a moment so extraordinary that even now I sometimes shake my head in disbelief at its occurrence. I had discovered Freddie, an adorable orange tabby, struggling in a garbage can, choking on a flea collar that had been tightened far too much. Without hesitation, I rescued him, and in that instant, we became inseparable. Freddie quickly became my best friend in countless ways. Grateful for the love and safety he had finally found, he was playful, affectionate, and brimming with personality. His hearty meow whenever I placed my hand on his head was a constant reminder of his joy and gratitude. Though I didn't fully grasp it at the time, Freddie would become an integral part of my healing journey, teaching me lessons in love, connection, and the transformative power of presence. One day, Freddie suddenly became paralyzed, his rear legs completely immobile. Yet, in his characteristic way, he remained unbothered, inching himself forward with his front paws as though nothing was wrong. He exhibited no signs of pain or distress, just his usual, cheerful self. Concerned, I took him to the veterinarian, only to be met with no viable solution. After days of watching him and feeling utterly helpless, I was consumed with the desire to help him, though I had no idea how. One early evening, as we sat together on the deck, something extraordinary happened. Out of nowhere, I experienced a vision that expanded into a deep feeling and then into an unshakable knowing. In a matter of moments, I was filled with absolute certainty, an unshakable conviction in every fiber of my being that Freddie would be completely healed. There was no doubt in my mind. It wasn't just hope. It was a profound, all-encompassing certainty. As if responding to this realization, Freddie stood up. He walked around as though the paralysis had never happened. From that moment on, he was completely healed, and the condition never returned. It was nothing short of miraculous. A few weeks later, however, Freddie returned from one of his daily adventures with one of his eyelids shut tight. For nearly 2 weeks, it remained that way. When it finally opened, my heart sank. The eye beneath had deteriorated into what looked more like lifeless tissue than a living organ. Alarmed, I took him back to the vet, who delivered grim news. The eye was beyond saving, and the likelihood of retaining it was almost non-existent. He handed me some ointment, offered his best wishes, and recommended surgery to remove the eye in a few days. As I left, I felt a wave of uncertainty and worry. Would Freddie even survive such a radical procedure? And what if the issue wasn't just his eye? What if it was something more dire, like cancer? These thoughts weighed heavily on me as I returned home, wondering what lay ahead for my beloved companion. Shortly after Freddie's eye condition had worsened, I found myself once again sitting with him on the deck. Out of nowhere, the same spontaneous vision of his perfect health returned to me, vivid and undeniable. This time, it came with even greater intensity, encompassing my entire being. I could see it, feel it, and know it with absolute clarity through every sense. The conviction of his complete healing was so profound that it felt as natural as breathing. In that moment, Freddie's eye began to heal. The transformation was rapid and astonishing, and within a short period, his eye was completely restored to its normal state. It remained that way for the rest of his life. I must emphasize that this entire experience was utterly spontaneous. It wasn't something I thought about, planned, or even understood at the time. It simply happened. And in the moment, it felt entirely normal and natural, as though this miraculous healing was the most ordinary occurrence in the world. While I was profoundly grateful for Freddie's instant and seemingly miraculous recoveries, I was also baffled. I had no idea what had occurred or why it had happened. There was no conscious effort on my part, no intention, no understanding that such a thing was even possible. At the time, I couldn't have imagined that the keys to my own healing, and potentially yours, were hidden within these extraordinary events. It took years for any awareness or insight to emerge about what had transpired. And then, in November 1988, Freddie's journey took a heartbreaking turn. He went from vibrant health to grave illness in just a matter of days. This time, I was powerless to help him. As I sat with him in his final moments, helplessly watching, he passed away. It was a deeply sorrowful moment, and I would have given anything for another spontaneous healing. Yet, even in my grief, I couldn't help but wonder about the mysterious power I had glimpsed, and whether it held lessons far beyond what I could comprehend at the time. Finally, 11 years after these extraordinary events, by 1991, I began to internalize their deeper meaning, and with that realization, my healing journey truly began. What did I learn? Reflecting on those moments with Freddie, it became clear to me that he held no limiting beliefs about what was possible. He existed in total peace and harmony with his reality, regardless of his physical condition. Freddie had no resistance, none whatsoever. Animals do not wage war against themselves. That is a uniquely human struggle. He was simply a clear, unburdened channel through which healing could flow. After all, he was just being himself, a cat living in perfect alignment with the present moment. It was this memory of Freddie and his complete acceptance of the now, no matter his circumstances, that illuminated a painful truth about myself. I was living a lie, and it's a lie you may be living too. I believed that if I fought hard enough, if I waged an unrelenting battle against my condition, I could force it to clear up. But all my efforts to resist, suppress, and fix my chronic back pain only led to more frustration and setbacks. The harder I fought, the further away healing seemed to be. Like many, I had been conditioned to see pain, discomfort, and stress as enemies to be defeated. I made my back pain wrong. I resisted it, suppressed it, and labeled it as something to be eradicated at all costs. In doing so, I locked myself into a cycle of struggle and helplessness. Then, at last, my inner light bulb flickered on. I realized that the key wasn't to wage war against my back, but to make peace with it, regardless of its condition. True peace isn't about tolerating or resigning yourself to an unwanted situation, nor is it about forcing change through sheer willpower. Instead, it is about harmonizing with the present moment, flowing with life's natural currents, and aligning yourself with universal principles. Healing began when I stopped resisting and started accepting, when I allowed myself to move in rhythm with life rather than struggling against it. Freddie taught me this profound truth without words, through his simple, peaceful presence. And in his wisdom, I found the beginnings of my own transformation. You must stop arguing with the reality of what is in your life. And here's why. You may believe that negativity is what drives you to be a better person or to create positive change. For instance, you might think that if you criticize yourself harshly enough for being overweight, you'll find the motivation to lose the weight. But if self-judgment truly worked as a motivator, there wouldn't be so many people stuck in the same struggles. What actually happens is quite the opposite. When people berate themselves for their problems, whether it's being overweight or any other issue, they create uncomfortable feelings that primarily drive them to seek relief from the discomfort. For many, this means eating to suppress the shame or sadness of being overweight, perpetuating the very cycle they're trying to escape. To break free and truly transform, you need a better way of relating to the reality of your experience. Arguing with it only deepens your suffering, creating more of what you don't want. Instead, you must learn to align with what is, to make peace with your current reality as the starting point for genuine change. This understanding allowed me to piece together a powerful new perspective. By reflecting on my earlier experiences with Freddie, I was able to reverse engineer those moments into a cohesive system, a system that became the blueprint for my own healing. Over time, this system evolved into what I now call my breath alchemy technique, which I have since shared successfully with thousands of others. And yet, to this day, I still marvel at Freddie's spontaneous and complete healing. Was it luck? Or was it something more profound? Perhaps my burning desire for his healing, and my own, created a space for something extraordinary to happen. Freddie was a great teacher, offering his wisdom without words, leading by pure example and with total humility. I strongly suspect that it was my unwavering intention to see Freddie healed, combined with my openness to the possibility, that allowed my higher self to work through me without the interference of limiting beliefs. Whatever the mechanism, Freddie's healing stands as a testament to the power of intention, love, and the infinite potential that flows when we stop resisting life and allow ourselves to align with its deeper truths. I have come to realize that many people may not fully grasp what I mean when I speak of a burning desire, a 100% unwavering intention, as the key to unlocking a level of certainty and knowing that can flow through us. Perhaps the best way to illustrate this is with the story of one of history's greatest inventors, Thomas Alva Edison. Edison, the holder of 1,093 patents, was the mind behind transformative inventions such as the electric light bulb, the phonograph, and the motion picture camera. Despite his monumental achievements, his journey was anything but easy. His teachers once dismissed him as too stupid to learn anything. He was labeled non-productive by employers and faced countless failures on his path to success. Yet his resilience and burning desire to create never wavered. One of the most telling moments in Edison's career occurred during the development of the electric light bulb. A reporter, observing his tireless efforts, asked, "How did it feel to fail 1,000 times?" Edison famously replied, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." This perspective reveals the depth of Edison's determination. He endured more than 1,000 failed attempts, yet remained resolute. "I am not discouraged," he said, "because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward." Edison's story is a testament to the power of unwavering intention. His burning desire to bring light into the world was so strong that no amount of failure could dissuade him. It is this kind of resolute focus, this refusal to accept defeat, that opens the doorway for breakthroughs, whether in invention, healing, or personal transformation. His legacy reminds us that true progress is not about avoiding failure, but embracing it as part of the journey toward realizing our highest potential. Edison's persistence was guided by a simple yet profound belief. Nearly every man who develops an idea works at it to the point where it looks impossible and then gets discouraged. That's not the place to become discouraged. This insight captures the essence of what I mean by burning desire. It is not merely wanting something, it is an unrelenting fire of purpose that refuses to be extinguished, no matter the obstacles. Without that fire, fear and doubt will inevitably rise, and they will stop you in your tracks. But when you are driven by purpose, those same fears become insignificant. You will see them for what they are, temporary illusions, and move through them with resolve. In universal terms, what you currently believe is what creates your life. If you notice aspects of your life that are less than ideal, then in order to create change, your intention must be absolute, 100%. The reality you experience now is the direct result of a 100% intention, whether conscious or unconscious. Anything less than 100% intention to change it will not be enough to overcome what is already in place. In universal terms, 99.9% is the same as 0. This is because for every intention, there is often a counterintention, a hidden payoff, that competes for dominance. If your intention to heal or transform is less than 100%, that counterintention will prevail every time. It operates like a psychic entity, fighting for its survival. Consider this example. As a child, you might have discovered that being sick brought you love and attention you didn't often receive when you were well. That's payoff number 1. Payoff number 2 could be the ability to avoid responsibilities, like missing school, which may have felt like a relief at times. These subconscious payoffs can become deeply ingrained patterns, silently reinforcing behaviors or conditions that you consciously wish to change. Until your intention to heal or transform becomes stronger than the lure of these payoffs, the counterintention will continue to hold sway. But when your desire is burning and unwavering, when it reaches that 100% threshold, you align yourself with the power to overcome any obstacle and rewrite the script of your life. While subconscious programs may have served you well in the past, helping you cope, gain love, or avoid discomfort, over time, diminishing returns inevitably set in. If you continue to operate from these old patterns later in life, they can become barriers to growth and healing. The truth is, if you can't feel it, taste it, and be absolutely ecstatic about it, your desire simply isn't strong enough to ignite real transformation. The law of cause and effect teaches us a profound truth. Until you achieve the result, you don't truly want it. Wanting and having are simultaneous states. You know you truly want something only when it is yours. When I experienced Freddie's healing, I didn't just believe it was possible. I knew it with total certainty. I could see it, feel it, and embody it as an undeniable reality. That level of knowing didn't arise by chance. It was fueled by a burning fire of purpose, a fire that became the doorway for this profound knowing to flow through me. In that moment, I experienced myself as my true nature, pure consciousness, infinite awareness, unlimited possibility, temporarily having a human experience. And here's the truth. That is you too. This potential resides within all of us. Let me take a moment to emphasize something crucial. While this level of certainty is far beyond mere belief in possibility, the journey always begins with one essential step: the belief that you can heal yourself. Without that foundational belief, the deeper work cannot unfold. But before diving into belief, let's go back to the beginning and put all the pieces together. Without integrating these deeper understandings, we risk falling into superficial approaches, symptom masking, applying a veneer of positive thinking, or even resigning ourselves to live with what we cannot cure. It's vital to understand the difference between healing and finding a cure. Curing a symptom simply restores you to the state you were in before the symptoms appeared. But if the underlying, unresolved emotions and suppressed thoughts that cause the issue remain unaddressed, the symptoms are likely to recur, perhaps in the same form or as a different issue entirely. True healing goes deeper. It is not just about erasing symptoms, but about integrating the emotional and mental roots that gave rise to them. Healing is transformation. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to engage with the inner landscape of your being. And in doing so, it frees you, not just from symptoms, but from the patterns that created them in the first place. True healing means addressing the root cause of a problem and eliminating it entirely. The human body, like all things, is not fundamentally physical. It is a holographic, illusory form, a projection of its base state, which is waveform information. This understanding transforms our entire approach to healing. What the medical profession and big pharma typically do is focus on treating the body, addressing only the symptoms. Yet, the body is merely the projection, not the origin. The root causes of illness lie within distortions in the underlying waveform information. When you harmonize these distortions at the base state, the body has no choice but to heal. It is simply a reflection of its foundational construct. Healing, therefore, is not about masking symptoms, but about going directly to the source, realigning the distortions, and integrating the suppressed thoughts and unresolved emotions that created them. Every illness, disease, and even injury stems from negative beliefs and the unresolved emotional energy lodged in the subconscious mind. Emotions like anxiety, anger, grief, depression, and fear are not just fleeting feelings. They become embedded as energy patterns that disrupt the body's natural harmony. The body, in turn, reflects these disturbances. Take high blood pressure, for example. It often mirrors emotions like irritation, resentment, hostility, and criticism. Arthritis, on the other hand, can be traced to deep-seated anger, resentment, and self-criticism. Cancer often roots itself in long-standing grief, guilt, self-condemnation, and unprocessed sorrow. The body is a mirror of your inner state. To heal is to harmonize, not just physically, but emotionally and energetically, restoring balance at the most fundamental level of your being. Only then can the physical projection, the body, reflect the true state of health and wholeness that lies within. Your higher self, the part of you that is forever connected to Source, exists in a state of unity and infinite perfection. It holds the blueprint of your perfect body in total and complete health. However, when the flow of this higher consciousness is filtered through a mind clouded by confusion, fear, resentment, futility, hostility, and irritation, it manifests those states in your physical body. Your higher self adjusts to the tone of the directives emanating from your subconscious mind, projecting them into your physical form. Your body, therefore, is not just a vessel, but a holographic projection of your consciousness. It reflects your deepest, most entrenched subconscious beliefs, which underscores the critical importance of addressing the lower self and healing the inner child. For more on this essential work, refer to chapters 19 and 20. Pain, at its core, is held in place by fear. When you allow yourself to relax deeply into that fear, you can uncover the specific suppressed thoughts that anchor the pain. Two common fears are particularly influential: the fear of worsening and the fear of irreparable damage. The fear of worsening arises when you experience a sensation in your body, judge it as wrong, and become afraid that it will intensify. This fear prompts you to tense or tighten your body as a protective mechanism against the anticipated increase in pain. Ironically, this very tension amplifies the pain, thereby validating your fear and reinforcing the cycle. The fear of irreparable damage is the belief that the pain will cause, or has already caused, damage that is beyond the body's ability to heal. This fear further entrenches the pain, creating a feedback loop that keeps the body in a state of tension and disharmony. Understanding these dynamics empowers you to break free from them. By addressing the subconscious beliefs and fears that underlie your pain, you can harmonize your consciousness and allow your body to return to the perfect health that your higher self already knows to be true. Chronic pain, illness, disease, or even lingering injuries are not truly in your body. They reside in your mind. More precisely, they are a reflection of your perception, shaped by the subconscious context in which you hold them. Pain, for instance, arises as an intensely felt sensation that you judge as wrong. This judgment perpetuates the cycle, recreating the pain and often intensifying its presence. However, there is another path. By surrendering to the sensation and experiencing it as pure energy, you can dissolve the fear holding the pain in place. This process facilitates integration and allows for more rapid healing. Science tells us that every cell in the body is periodically renewed. It is not your body that clings to chronic conditions, but your consciousness, your state of awareness as it is filtered through subconscious beliefs that alters and imprints upon these cells. To break free, you must shift your perspective. Recognize that you are not your body. You are pure consciousness, infinite creative awareness manifesting reality. When you embrace this truth, you reclaim the ability to take complete control over your body, health, and life. This journey of transformation begins with a single step: changing your beliefs about what is possible. Specifically, it starts with the belief that you can heal yourself. Right now, you may be holding a deeply rooted belief that you cannot. But the law of cause and effect reminds us that what we believe about our lives ultimately shapes them. You always, without exception, create what you want. Understanding that wanting encompasses both conscious and subconscious desires. In our disconnected state, conditioned to see ourselves as separate and incomplete, we have been taught to believe that the power to heal lies outside of us. We habitually place our faith in external authorities, primarily doctors, while surrendering our innate ability to heal ourselves. This misplaced belief limits us, keeping us from realizing the fullness of our potential. Even in the absence of evidence, the first step is to adopt the belief that self-healing is possible. When belief is nourished, it expands into faith, and with time and experience, faith becomes knowing. This knowing is the foundation of true transformation, a profound certainty that you have the power within to heal, grow, and thrive. Certainty begins with a shift in identity. You are not merely a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Embracing this truth, even in the absence of evidence, is transformative. When you come from this understanding, you create the space where healing can occur. This shift changes the unconscious, reactive contexts you've been living in, those shaped by the mind's fears and limitations, into mere content. Once you become aware of this content, it can be transmuted into light through your conscious awareness. Life is always held within a context, so why not choose to hold it consciously? You are infinite consciousness experiencing itself at a single point in time and space. Your higher self serves as your direct connection to source energy, the infinite flow that moves through you. Your body, far from being who you are, is simply the necessary vessel for experiencing your true nature in this particular wavelength of existence. When you align with your authentic self, your infinite consciousness, your body responds naturally, reflecting this harmony. Perfect health is not something to strive for, but something to choose and accept. By tuning into the source energy within you, you allow its healing power to flow freely throughout your entire being. This life force energy is known as prana in Indian yoga philosophy, but it also goes by other names: chi, ki, and tachyon energy. As discussed in Chapter 12, prana is essential for sustaining life as we know it. Unlike oxygen, which is carried to the body's cells via red blood cells, prana flows through subtle channels in the body called nadis. These nadis, which include the acupuncture meridians, form a vast energetic network. They branch out to reach every cell in your body, nourishing it with the subtle energy of prana. By aligning with this source energy, you engage in the profound act of healing, not merely addressing symptoms, but returning to your natural state of wholeness and vitality. In this alignment, you become the conscious creator of your experience, embodying the infinite potential that has always been within you. Your breath is the master regulator of life force energy, prana, within your body. It serves as the vital bridge between spirit and matter, connecting pure source energy with the physical universe. In a breath alchemy session, this connection becomes vividly clear. You can feel the soothing, healing currents of divine love coursing through you, knowing deeply that every function of your physical being is whole and complete. This profound awareness, combined with holding the idea of perfect health in your consciousness, is the key to true healing. Envision yourself as you truly are, pure consciousness, radiant with health, joy, and peace, fully capable of living the vibrant life you desire. This is your natural state. Claim it. Through the breath alchemy technique, I have witnessed people heal from nearly every imaginable condition, from terminal cancer to minor ailments. My own healing journey is a testament to its power. Not only have I completely healed my back, but I have also restored my respiratory health, a significant achievement given my family's history of emphysema. As a child, I suffered greatly from hay fever, enduring relentless misery every spring and summer, along with frequent, debilitating colds that often confined me to bed for days or weeks. I was even misdiagnosed by an overzealous doctor as being allergic to nearly everything under the sun. Yet all of that is now firmly in the past. The breath holds incredible transformative power. By harnessing this force through focused intention and the breath alchemy technique, you can reclaim your innate state of vibrant health and experience the fullness of your being, free, whole, and aligned with the divine flow of life itself. I'll conclude this chapter by sharing a few powerful examples of recent healings, both from my own experience and from the work I've done with clients. Recently, I was invited to participate in a podcast interview where I would be speaking publicly about my knowledge and experiences with healing for the very first time. About 2 weeks before the interview, I noticed what initially felt like a mild toothache. Since I rarely, if ever, get toothaches, I decided to simply monitor it. Soon, the sensation evolved into what felt more like an inner ear infection, growing steadily in intensity. By the morning of the interview, I was in significant discomfort and uncertain how I would manage to deliver my message. But since I was about to speak publicly on healing, I realized there was only one course of action: to practice what I preach. I gave myself a breath alchemy session and was immediately able to connect with the sensation in my inner ear. Rather than resisting the pain, I welcomed it. I was overjoyed, thrilled even, to have such clear access to this intense feeling. Holding the sensation in a context of total acceptance, I applied the 5-step harmonizing method, allowing the pain to integrate effortlessly. The result was profound, a complete and lasting healing. To this day, the issue has not returned. The timing of this experience was perfect, as it gave me a fresh and vivid story to share during the podcast interview, allowing me to speak with depth and authenticity. Another recent example involves a client, Carmen Wild, a dynamic and busy entrepreneur who came to me on the verge of burnout. In addition to her overwhelming workload, she was plagued by persistent, severe headaches that significantly impacted her quality of life. Carmen committed to a series of 10 breath alchemy sessions, and we were both thrilled to discover that her headache issue was permanently resolved during the very first session. She also reported learning how to relax at a much deeper level than she had ever experienced, which completely alleviated her burnout symptoms. Reflecting on our work together, Carmen had this to say. Insert Carmen's testimonial here. These experiences serve as a testament to the transformative power of healing when we align with the infinite potential of our breath, our consciousness, and the source energy flowing through us. When I signed up for Bob's Breath Alchemy program, I was at my wit's end. I had been suffering from severe daily headaches, and as a driven entrepreneur with a packed schedule, the impact on my life was overwhelming. I knew I needed a radically different approach, something unlike anything I had tried before, and I had already explored many alternative healing methods. I met Bob in Los Angeles in January 2018. His passion for his work and the remarkable results he described immediately resonated with me. I instinctively felt he could help me, and I wasn't wrong. Over the course of 10 weekly sessions, Bob's method not only changed my relationship with my body, but profoundly improved my quality of life. From the very first session, I began to feel a positive shift. Bob's unwavering passion for his work, his patience in guiding me through each session, and his ability to explain the mechanics behind the method all built my confidence in the process. What I love most about breath alchemy is its versatility. It's not just a tool for healing, but a life-enhancing practice I now rely on daily. Whether I need to boost my energy levels, find focus, relax, improve sleep, or stay composed in stressful situations, this method delivers. And the results? My headaches, which used to plague me every single day, have completely disappeared. On the rare occasion I feel a headache beginning to surface, and I must emphasize that the discomfort is only a fraction of what it used to be, I simply go into circular breathing, and the sensation dissipates almost instantly. If you're struggling with pain or discomfort of any kind, anywhere in your body, I wholeheartedly recommend Bob's Breath Alchemy. It's not just a method, it's a power technique for life. I am deeply grateful to have been introduced to this transformative practice. Thank you, Bob, for enriching my life in such a meaningful and lasting way. Let me share the remarkable case of Dr. Wilbur Albrecht, who contributed to the previous chapter. Wilbur, a physician by profession, found himself a burnout victim, forced into early retirement in his late 40s after nearly losing his eyesight. His first year of working with me brought about profound transformations in his health and well-being, which he detailed in the following account. Physical health improvements. Alcohol. Completely stopped drinking alcohol after years of frequent use. Sleep medication. Ceased taking prescription sleep aids for insomnia. Stress medication. Discontinued prescription medications for stress management. Coffee. Eliminated daily morning coffee intake. TM practice. Resumed transcendental meditation after years of being unable to practice due to side effects. Asthma. Shortness of breath and asthma became almost non-existent. Stopped requiring frequent use of inhalers, despite a reportedly bad asthma season. Did not require steroid medication his doctor recommended in 2015. Sinusitis. Nearly eliminated, had only one sinus infection in 2016, compared to 4 infections with fevers requiring antibiotics in 2015. Foot pain. Resolved completely without medical or surgical treatment after years of debilitating pain following daily walks. Weight loss. Lost an additional 13 pounds after losing 13 pounds the previous year, improving weight-related prediabetes markers. Blood pressure. Normalized high blood pressure, avoiding prescribed medication. Triglycerides. Sky-high triglycerides normalized by 2016, requiring only prescription fish oil. Liver function. Liver function tests returned to normal after abnormalities in 2015. Eyesight. Some improvement in his most damaged eye, as noted by his retina specialist. Emotional and spiritual growth. Well-being. A notable increase in his overall sense of well-being, with others commenting on his happier, healthier appearance. Optimism and purpose. Felt more optimistic and connected to his higher self, with a clearer sense of purpose and alignment. Healthy lifestyle. Adopted a predominantly vegetarian diet, began daily exercise, and committed to regular yoga classes. Meditation. Gained a deeper appreciation for disciplined daily meditation practices. Reiki practice. Increased his use of Reiki, joining a regional Reiki association. Personal responsibility. Took intentional and personal responsibility for his health, moving beyond reliance on the medical system. Aging and vitality. Feeling younger. Reported feeling 5 years younger overall, with moments after breath alchemy sessions feeling as though he were a decade younger. Energy levels. Noted a significant increase in energy for daily exercise. Emotional and intuitive freedom. Relationships. Experienced more emotional freedom and clarity in relationships. Leadership. Recognized by peers as a leader, feeling grounded in a deeper spiritual part of himself, particularly after breath alchemy sessions. Intuition and synchronicity. Greater intuition and increased synchronicities, attracting supportive people and opportunities into his life. Wilbur concluded with this heartfelt sentiment. I feel supported by the universe, not just in feeling but in tangible ways. Things and people show up in my life with perfect timing, offering the support I need. I feel immense gratitude for this transformative journey with breath alchemy. Wilbur's story is a testament to the profound and lasting impact of breath alchemy, demonstrating its power to catalyze physical healing, emotional freedom, and spiritual connection.